Hey everybody, welcome to the course. This is your introduction video. Yes, I am in my car. No, I am not driving without a seatbelt. So I'm Maggie Syme. I'll be your instructor this quarter. We're going to have quite a bit of fun, in my opinion, my humble opinion, talking about how to get better with age. So I'm a geropsychologist by background. You'll learn much more about me on Thursday in the coming weeks, but this is what I do. I built my research and my practice on working with older adults, and I'm here to shepherd us along this quarter to learn about what it's like to be older, mostly in the US, but also in other countries, what it's like to have intersectionalities with age and what that might be like for the clients that you might see. It's really meant to equip you for clinical work that you will likely be doing with older adults, because many of you will be placed in areas like integrated care, VAs, etc., and you're going to be seeing older adults in those spaces. For those of you who are not, we'll talk about the life course theory the first week on Thursday, and you'll learn about why it's important to think about older adults and aging, no matter what age you are and whom you are becoming. So this is the landing page for your course. If you want to have a Zoom meeting with me, you can click here. If you want to schedule one or set up one so that we can talk outside of class time, I'm happy to do that. I'm available by appointment. I will be collecting your 3-song playlists and your introduction to yourself and creating a Spotify playlist for us that I usually play while we wait for everybody to come on in. And you'll have access to it as well, so we can all listen to the songs that define us. All right, let's check out your syllabus. This is pretty bare bones. It has a lot of the information that is required of your syllabus to have, but the important things are when we meet, right? Thursdays from 8 to 10 a.m. synchronously online Mountain Time. The remainder of class time will be used asynchronously. I have those experiences set up for you. That's my name, that's my email. And if you need me, email is usually the best and most efficient way to get there. Might want to pop in CPSY 5200 in the subject line to get my attention before I start to know all your names. You'll see the course description, and I won't read through it, but as I mentioned, the central thing that I'm worried about is for you to be able to think like a geropsychologist and act like a geropsychologist when you approach your clients and when you approach your research. And we'll talk about what that means. But as I've said, it's looking at things through the lens of the life course, thinking about things biologically, psychologically, socially, and culturally encapsulated in systems, and understanding the importance and the embeddedness that ageism and how that impacts us all at every age. These are tools in which we will unpack and hopefully grow and use across the quarter and apply in our different assignments so that you can become more proficient in using them and can take those skills with you. The textbook, you can't see the picture yet, but it's This Chair Rocks, A Manifesto Against Ageism by Ashton Applewhite. It's a paperback. You can get it in audio version if you like, which is my favorite, Kindle, whatever you want. It's a trade book, so it's just a paperback, but it's packed with good information on the research out there and studies on aging and ageism and how to combat ageism in the circles that we're in. Here is probably what you're interested in second most to grade, right? This is the schedule of the 10 weeks that we have and the basic topics that we will cover across the course of the quarter. As I mentioned down here, we will have a couple of in-class guest speakers, but I also have several interviews set up with experts in geropsych to talk about specific areas that fit under these, which will be some of your asynchronous activities for the week. We might talk about aging and health promotion. We'll talk about the importance of integrated care to working with older adults and addressing mental health needs. We'll hear from an international expert on caregiving and families, and we'll have someone come to class to talk about death and dying, who does palliative care and death and dying work and research. So it'll be packed with people, but you'll definitely see a lot of this space. All right, here we go. I promised that the grading would come. So there are a few bigger buckets of things that you'll be doing this semester. Reflections are as they sound. They are something that you take in the information, you reflect upon, and you give us some well thought over integrated information around a certain topic. So there are a few of these across the quarter. The important part here is that you can drop one reflection during the course. You can choose to not complete it for no penalty. However, the first one is required, which is your introduction, and can't be dropped. This will total 20% of your grade. Then you will have tasks. There are 5 tasks currently in your assignments, and you'll see them in your modules. You can also drop one of these. The first one is required. So what this is those applied assignments I was talking about to help you build skills. So how are you going to be able to think like a geropsychologist? Well, some of the skills you already have because you think like a clinical psychologist, but some of them are very specific to aging and the knowledge that we acquire and we think about when we think in a life course way, when we think about ageism, when we think about older adults. So the tasks are a big way for you to apply some of these things that you're learning, whether it's generating an idea for a social connection, a program on social connection for older adults, or your talking about your about living wills and going through the exercise of thinking about your own living will and how you might think about these things and what it might be like for someone to have to answer these questions. So they're varied. They're pretty like totally different things, but they're all part of the set of skills that you will need as an advocate, clinician, educator, researcher in aging. That's worth 40% of your grade. And then you have your aging manifesto, which is the big final project. And this will arc across the quarter. You'll be picking your topic, you'll be digging into the literature and giving me some references, and you'll be creating one of 2 things. You can, if you're a presentation type person, you'll be choosing to do the Pachachka, which is a very short 7-minute less presentation on the challenge in aging that you think is important, and you'll give us an overview of that, what you think we need to do to address it, and that will be your final project. You can also choose to do the same thing, but in advocacy form, right? So it's like thinking about like a letter you'd write as a professional to a senator or the leader of an organization, because telling them, look, this is a huge problem. It affects older adults in this way. This is what is currently happening. And this is how I think we need to change in order to address this and why it's important to your constituency. So that is the second of those 2 options that you'll be completing and submitting at the end of the quarter. But again, those are scaffolded across where you'll have to choose your topic, talk to me about it, give me some references that are related to it, that is building that evidence of this is a problem and this is what's done about it, but this is what we need. And then in the end, you'll be handed in completed. And that also is a total of 40% of your grade. So let's see. The typical grade structure for all GSBP courses here. And then I run through some of the course expectations I have. So for you, you need to log in regularly, manage your time, be organized. There are a lot of moving parts in this. And take advantage of the learning opportunities. From me, you can expect me to respond to your emails and questions within 24 hours during the work week, unless otherwise noted. I also tend to review things over the weekend, but I may not respond until Monday unless something's very emergent. I will provide feedback on your tasks, reflections, etc. within a week of the due date, often sooner unless otherwise noted. I will, during the time that I'm with you, encourage a safe, respectful, and productive learning environment, something that can foster a community among all of us that you've already been building in your other classes. I'll be available through email. We can meet up by Zoom for a face-to-face appointment or phone, whatever works for you. Let's see. Some of the class policies that we have are about Zoom etiquette and netiquette and how to be respectful of your colleagues online. And all of the rest of it are things that your graduate school and your university require of you. You're welcome to look at that. I wanted to get into the meat of this for you so that you understand where you can find information as well. Here in your modules is where you'll find a week by week and a couple of topical chunks of information. So for every week, you'll have a main page, and some weeks you might have an extra link or two under here, but for the most part, you will have your full set of duties, content, etc., outlined in each of these weekly pages. So for week 1, as you can see, there's always an overview, the objectives for that week, some questions to ponder as you go through the material, our synchronous activities, which is usually always our online class together, and all of the asynchronous activities, which include some readings, as well as this week you have an assignment to say, for your reflection 1 is to introduce yourself, and we're also assigning task number 1, but it's not due this week, it's due the following, so we'll be able to talk about that in class. And all the things for the lectures that you have or any videos that you have to read or do outside of time, right, podcast, etc., which you have a couple of here. That are the asynchronous activities to fill in our class time. So you'll have one of these pages for every week. You'll note that you don't have access to all of them yet. I think only the first 3 weeks are done. That's because some of that information is still in flux and some of the resources aren't fleshed out yet, but you will get access to those ASAP. Another one I wanted to go over with you before I let you delve into this yourself and or ignore it for 3 days to get together is your assignment tab. So I always like to categorize by type, but here are all the reflections, right? You can drop one except for the first one. Here are the tasks. You can drop one except for the first one. And here's your Aging Manifesto final project. So each one of these, right, is built out so that it has the requisite things that you need to complete it, tells you the point value, although remember that it's also percentage by type of assignment for your grade, and a description of the assignment, the resources to help you, and some of the specs, like what should you be shooting for in this assignment, and when it's due. And there's almost always, unless I've forgotten and need to be reminded, a rubric for you. Okay. So, and the rest of these, certainly the pages are a list of all of the pages that are inside your module. There's some files, all of the people in your class. You'll be able to access your grade and see it. And the Zoom link is where all of our class times will be listed, and those will also show up on your class calendar. Cool. All right. Well, hopefully if you're watching this before Thursday, I'm crossing my fingers that a decent proportion of you will, that I will see you on Thursday. If you're watching this after the fact, joke's on you. You should have watched it beforehand. All right. So I will see you on Thursday. Please do remember to do your reflection number 1, which is introduce yourself. We'll get some playlists going from our What Songs Define Us lists, and we'll have some fun. Get your creative juices flowing for Thursday. We're going to talk about the different aspects of how we think like a gerontologist. And I will see you then. Let me get out of here.